Good morning guys, how are we all doing? So Dan from Trading with Dan here. Just very quickly, if you guys wouldn't mind hitting that like button, that would be much appreciated. So this is our Bitcoin morning update, so we are going to go straight over to those charts. So yeah, you can see rejected from that trend line pretty nicely in a technical analysis perspective. Obviously we want Bitcoin to go up, so not necessarily that nicely in that perspective. It does show this trend line is important and probably in the right place, because the actual overhead resistance level of 9,400 was well within reach, but we didn't tap it because we were rejected by this trend line. So that plays into my thesis that when we do properly break through this trend line, be it here, or wherever, it should give us enough momentum to clear this 9,400, 9,500 area like like a knife through butter, as it were. That's kind of what I'm expecting, and that is obviously really good for us, because I believe this is going to be a pretty staunch resistance area, followed only really by this as the last major one. If we get back above here, I do think that will just get rid of any of the bears' hopes of breaking us down below even 8,600, and then and we'll just start to turn pretty bullish and get through 10k, 10.5k pretty easily, and then onwards and upwards. That's kind of the dominoes that I'm expecting if we break out the top of this trend line, which we don't have to, because currently we've been rejected by it and are in a shorter time frame downward move. So, but are we going to come and test the 9,200 as support? You guys know that I love the back tests. I love the back test, because that what the back test does, it confirms this as a support, and that we are basically going to trend up from obviously our low from down here. Confirms we're going to trend up, and also once we do start to turn back up, it does offer the better risk profile entries, and be them long or short, if it's a resistance or support back test. But this will be a support, a back test of the old resistance, new support, ORNS, that's it. ORNS back test, and that will then if we do basically bounce off this level, that will pretty much confirm that we are in a move up where you can potentially buy, and there will be a lot of levels to buy. I think there'll be a lot of buying will come in, because there'll be some buying coming at this support anyway, right? Because there'll be people that have shorted this trend line that will buy to cover those shorts. There'll be buying for people that want to buy the back test. Then if we start to move back up, there will be buying that occurs above this high here, above this level. There will then be buying occurs at the trend line. There will then be buying that comes in above this high, and then we then be buying that comes in if when we break through this area too. So there's just a lot of buy levels in this zone now that have all lined up. So all we need now is our initial first domino of back testing this, and then reversing this short-term trend we've got going, and then we could really get going to the upside through all of this, and we could find ourselves within the next day or two at 9,700, 9,800 area, potentially playing out this zone again, looking for the back test to 9,500 and then upwards. So it's a very likely scenario. Obviously the downside is pretty apparent for us. That would be if we don't get supported here, or we come down here and we get weakly supported in a weak fashion at this level, then yeah, we could basically drop this support and then come back down to here, at which point it won't be looking good for a move not down to 8,600, and then we have to then consider the flip side to obviously the fact we'll have this channel trend line and this support area round about the same area. So I mean, on one hand, that does offer even greater support, because you've got this trend line support and this horizontal support, but it does also mean if we break that even greater support, we can expect an even greater move down, which basically will take us ultimately to basically about 7,000, I think. And then that's just our first stop, maybe our only stop. We'll just have to assess what happens at that level, assess the price action, and see if we can get turned around there. But at the moment, my obviously preferred scenario, and while stock markets are obviously strong, although we did look at the Nasdaq. Let's have a look at the Nasdaq again today. Which one do I need to look at? Yeah, this one. So you can see we did basically pretty much get rejected by the 9. The 9 candle. Obviously I've not got the same trend lines drawn in here, but they are basically the same. If we click over to this one, look, it's basically the same. It's the same sort of price action. This is obviously going to open lower. So yeah, I mean, we've got this correction, which doesn't have to come down too far. It doesn't, like, look, you can see we can hit the top and we don't even have to really come down much in price at all. We can keep going sideways. Even this point here, we didn't come down at all, really. We just traded sideways and then back up. So it doesn't mean we have to have a proper sell-off. It just means we're probably not gonna have more just big up days for the next few days. So that may not be the best thing for Bitcoin. It may leave us trapped in this zone, which is fine. It's fine. I'd rather us be trapped in the zone rather than us break below here and come down. Because don't forget, at the moment we have been rejected from this trend line. We've got some bearish 4-hour candles. We are fast approaching this support. So it's definitely not beyond the realms of possibility that we break through it. So let's have a look at the stochastics. Yeah, 4-hour got to a pretty lofty level where it had no real place to go other than turn around and come down. So yeah, I mean, if we can hold 9,200 whilst this 4-hour stochastic is resetting, is basically coming down, then that is obviously very good. If we can't, we obviously need to hold the 9,000. Otherwise it's basically curtains until 8,600. But yeah, if we can hold that though, that would be pretty bullish. We'll have a look at the 8-hour Stokes as well. 8-hour Stokes still putting up, still got room to run before they're going to run into any potential historic level of basically resistance. So I mean, that could obviously help us up. 12-hour Stokes are clearly going to be up again, and we're testing this trend line now. So we're testing this trend line, so I don't know how much longer these will keep going up based on price action coming down to 9,200. But if we can get our next tick, which will probably then be around this area, this will be looking really good for a move up to the next level, which will basically be through here, through the trend line, and through this resistance. So yeah, 12-hour Stokes obviously is our favorite one. Let's have a look at the daily. Daily is turning up, but it's got its resistance level, which we're not quite at. I'll draw it on, delete it, because I can't really leave it on. But yeah, so I can't leave it on because you just get too cluttered. But yeah, we are basically we've got a long way to run basically on the daily before we break through this and go up. But if we do break that and start moving upwards, that will be incredibly bullish. That will be incredibly bullish for price action. And then here we got it, the thorn in our side, the weekly Stokes. But like I said, price action's moved up nicely whilst these been coming down initially. So these can obviously still reset. It's going to take a while for this to play out, being a weekly time frame, weekly ticks. But yeah, this can obviously keep coming down. I would suspect if we keep moving up how we are doing, then this will start to actually curl back up, which does happen in Stokes. I mean, you can kind of see here, we're at the lows, we sort of turned up, then turned back down again. We're at the lows here, turned up, then turned back down again. We're at the highs. I mean, to be honest, a lot of these highs did pretty much turn down, and that is it. That is the history of price action for BitMEX, at least for this Stokes, for the BitMEX contract. So yeah, so literally in summary, that is all what I'm kind of really looking at the moment. We need to get supported at 9,200, then turn around. Then I think a lot of buying comes in, and then I think we basically pretty quickly end up at 9,700, 9,800, probably within a couple of days, tops. 3 days tops. Couple of days likely. today maybe, but we'll see what happens. Like I said, I believe stock markets are going to have a bit of sideways to down over the next couple of days, maybe day and a half. So that's why maybe 2 days before we get the move up and Bitcoin breaks through. Bitcoin's got to hang in here whilst we've got the weekly, obviously, and the 4 hour. Well, mainly the 4 hour, because the weekly isn't affecting this short time frame price action, but the 4 hour certainly. Bitcoin's got to hang in whilst this 4 hour resets. When that turns back up, I think it will be all systems go with the 12 hour and the daily, and also the 8 hour pointing upwards. I think we'll have and we've got a lot of buy levels, like I did at the start of the video. We've got a lot of potential buy areas where people will be looking to buy in. So I think we could make fast progress once this backtest is confirmed. Obviously, if this backtest isn't confirmed and we don't start to move back up again, then yeah, I mean 9,000 and 9,000 and beyond, basically, and then we just got to start looking at 8,600. But provided we get supported here, this could be the last great chance to buy. But hey, it may not be, but it is. People will be looking at it as potentially as such. So yeah, something to consider. Right, so that's the end of the video, guys. So remember, this is not a financial advice. I am not a financial advisor. Always do your own research, and I will speak to you guys soon.